Welcome to this explainer. Now, if you follow association football, you've probably noticed that practically everyone obsesses over width, right? Wingers hugging the touchline, overlapping fullbacks bombing forward, stretching the pitch as wide as physically possible. I mean, we see it everywhere in the modern game. But today, we're going to challenge that obsession. We are going to look at a tactical setup that fundamentally ignores the wings to completely conquer the absolute most important part of the pitch.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because the uncomfortable truth of football tactics is simply this. Most goals aren't conceded out wide. They're conceded straight through the middle. Despite all the flash, all the flair of that wide play, the center of the pitch is the ultimate danger zone. It's literally the shortest route to the goal. And there is one formation built specifically, almost obsessively, to shut that central corridor down completely, the 4-1-2-1-2 diamond.
Section 1. Unpacking the diamond shape.
To really wrap our heads around why this works so well, we need to unpack the diamond shape itself. See, this isn't just a slightly tweaked version of your classic 4-4-2. No, it is a deliberate architectural choice designed to totally conquer the middle of the pitch. We've got 4 defenders at the back, 1 shield sitting right in front of them, 2 central midfielders forming the sides of the diamond, 1 attacking midfielder, your classic creative number 10 at the tip, and 2 out-and-out strikers up top. Picture those traditional soccer jerseys running right down the exact middle of the grass. What you're looking at are 4 distinct layers, basically stacked vertically right through the absolute spine of the pitch. And that vertical stacking, that's the foundation of everything we're about to discuss.
Section 2. Outnumbering the central corridor.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why that vertical spine is so vital. It's not just about looking organized on a tactical chalkboard, it's about dominating the central corridor and establishing absolute numerical superiority exactly where it matters most. Look at a standard flat 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3. The midfielders are spread side to side across the pitch, right? Which naturally leaves gaps right in the center. But in the diamond, everyone in that midfield is stacked on top of each other, covering for one another vertically to completely and utterly secure that central corridor.
Which leads us to a massive tactical advantage. 4. Think about it. Most attacks in football are built through the center of the pitch before they go anywhere else. Well, the diamond puts 4 players in that central corridor. You've got the pivot, both central midfielders, and the number 10. Now compare that to just 2 central players in a flat 4-4-2, or maybe 3 in a 4-3-3. That is not a small edge. That's huge. When you have 4 players dominating the center, almost every single time the opposition tries to play through the middle, you have an extra body to press, an extra body to block a passing lane, and crucially, an extra body to win those completely unpredictable second balls. You aren't just chasing the game centrally, you are completely outnumbering it.
Section 3. Shielding and compact transitions.
So, the crucial point is simply having bodies in the middle isn't enough if they aren't organized with a highly specific purpose. The player making this whole transition from a crowded midfield into a truly impenetrable blockwork is the pivot, the number 6. Sitting at the very base of the diamond, this holding midfielder is your ultimate defensive anchor. Their entire job description, literally the whole thing, is to sit directly in front of the back 4 and kill danger before it ever reaches them. Honestly, think of the pivot like a goalkeeper's sweeper role, just operating 20 yards further up the pitch. They're intercepting those lethal through balls before your center backs even have to think about making a desperate tackle. Because you have that dedicated shield in the number 6, your center backs are suddenly playing a completely different game. They're no longer getting dragged out of position to chase some random midfield runner. They aren't being forced into frantic, last-ditch tackles inside the penalty area. Instead, they get to defend a much smaller, much safer patch of grass. You're effectively removing the pressure before it ever even has the chance to become a crisis for your backline.
Now, because the diamond is so incredibly narrow and congested in the center, you essentially invite the opposition to play out wide. And I know exactly what you're thinking. That sounds like a massive weakness, doesn't it? But statistically speaking, central passing lanes represent a highly efficient, high-danger attacking threat. Deep, wide crosses, on the other hand, are actually one of the least efficient ways to score in association football. So by playing the diamond, you are brilliantly trading high-danger central attacks for low-efficiency wide crosses. You are quite literally forcing the opponent to play the game on your statistical terms.
And this tight, compact central block pays off incredibly well when you win the ball back. Just walk through it. First, you win the ball centrally. Second, because your midfielders are already stacked so closely together, you instantly form immediate passing triangles. You don't have players making a mad, exhausting sprint from one touchline to the other just to offer support. They're already right there. Third,
You counterattack rapidly. You drastically shorten the time your team spends disorganized after a turnover. And since a disorganized transition is exactly when most goals are conceded, this compact shape keeps you incredibly safe.
But we do have to take a step back and ask the obvious question. Is the diamond completely risk-free? Because in this explainer, we're looking objectively at tactics, and the absolute reality of football is that every single formation has an honest trade-off. There's no magic bullet.
Section 4. The tactical trade-off.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how clearly it lays out those trade-offs. The undeniable reality of the 4-1-2-1-2 is its complete and total lack of natural wide midfielders. Because you're giving up the flanks almost entirely, this system depends incredibly heavily on extremely fit, disciplined fullbacks bombing forward to provide your attacking width. But the catch is huge. If those fullbacks get caught way upfield after a turnover, you are highly vulnerable. Similarly, your two central strikers provide amazing central pressure, but their catch is that they have to work incredibly hard to drift wide and press opposing center backs just to make up for the lack of wingers.
So how do you handle it? Well, you manage the wide risk. You absolutely must depend on highly fit, defensively responsible fullbacks. You have to maintain intense discipline during forward attacks so you aren't caught out on the counter. You require that front two to press out wide. And ultimately, you just have to accept that wide spaces can and will be exploited by genuinely dangerous wingers. Honestly, it's a big reason you don't see this formation used by every single team at the top level. But here's the key takeaway. A winger exploiting space out wide is a manageable risk. A bare midfield getting completely overrun right through the center, that's an unfixable disaster. The diamond is built to solve the disaster, even if it has to allow the risk.
Let's move to and see how this builds to Section 5, safe and disciplined football. When you put all these pieces together, the vertical stacking, the number 6 shield, the intentional concession of those wide spaces, what do you actually get? You get this. The 4-1-2-1-2 isn't flashy. It really isn't going to give you viral clips of wingers doing crazy stepovers on the touchline. But what it does do is simply stack bodies exactly where it hurts the opponent most. It mathematically protects the defense with a dedicated shield, and it stays ruthlessly compact in transition. It is the absolute epitome of safe, disciplined, effective football. It proves that while width might look pretty, central dominance safely dictates the reality of the game. Central dominance safely beats empty width.
Which leaves us with a totally fascinating tactical dilemma. If having width doesn't automatically guarantee victory, and central dominance is truly this powerful, how does a balanced formation like the 4-3-3 truly compare against the modern standard of the 4-2-3-1? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining this explainer, and keep studying the beautiful game.